All right, we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. We are here with my good friend Vishal. I didn't even get to make sure I get this right. Sony, is that right? Well, you can correct me.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct.
Awesome. And he is here, he says, to help us optimize our physical and mental health against any odds, any circumstances you might have in your life. Is that correct? Can you do that for us today?
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. I can help you with that.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're gonna see in this next episode of the Authority Project. All right, we are here. We are back, and we are still live with Vishal Soni. I had to let him know that I had to do a little bit of a workout before I got here, so I can prepare for you today.
Right.
So enough of the jokes. So here we are. Please tell us right now before we even start with the program here. Tell us first more about you personally and then professionally.
Personally, I would say that um, personally, I would say that my life was really rough when I was a child. I'm saying rough because I had a rough time with my education. So, considering my education, I was not good. Um, I wasn't getting good grades, and I was also in a family where my sister used to score pretty well. So that started off as a point of comparison always. Like I was told to be like my sister, to study like her, to be smart like her, to be open minded and talk to other people like her. So it was always a point of comparison. And later on, until ninth standard, like when I reached ninth grade and my final exams were coming, by that particular time, I had already become a silent kid because of the continuous comparisons and everything. So I had stopped sharing my own opinions. I had started to keep everything for myself. I didn't like to justify even if I'm getting low grades because I didn't feel the reason to justify.
Ah,
So in ninth grade, again, I got low results, but side by side, my parents had decided that they'll send me to a boarding school in India so that I'll have to live independently and I'll have to. They expected that when I'll be in that environment, I'll be more smart, I'll get better grades, and being independent, I'll learn many more things. But it went completely different from what they had expected. When I had gone to India in a boarding school, the people were completely different. The students which were there were completely different, and I didn't feel comfortable in that environment. So, if I'll have to tell it pretty much shortly, so the people had a completely different body language. They like were completely different from what I was. The way they spoke, their language was same as mine, of course. The language was same, but the words which they spoke, they were cursing at each other. They were having a different body language, and all of that was uncomfortable for me. So I was uncomfortable in that environment, and on the sixth day itself, I got beat up for no reason. So I got beat up, and that started to develop fear in me. And that also was the beginning of the bullying phase in my life. And that phase went very severe in the coming 2 months. It just kept increasing and increasing. They started teasing me because I was different from them. Uh, my habits, my body language, everything was different. So I was having a rough time, and that's basically where my fitness journey began. I started off just by doing some two or three exercises, to be honest. I didn't know anything about fitness. All I could do was try to recall from the movies, like if there was any exercise I
mm,
saw, like any heroes or someone do. I was just trying to copy that with my own knowledge. I wasn't comfortable approaching anyone to ask also because I was so alone already because of the experiences. I started exercising whenever I was alone, and just within 2 weeks, I had got caught again. Like I was spotted by someone doing the exercise between. Like I used to exercise between the buses behind the football field so that no one
mm.
would see me. But I got spotted one day, and that like literally triggered everybody, and they started making fun of me in worse ways, and they started teasing me for that as well. Immediately I had given up because that was just a new initiative or a new objective in my life that okay, I'm going to build a body so that the reason I started fitness was because I felt like maybe because I was extremely skinny, regardless of the language or anything. I felt like because I was skinny, that's the reason why they were trying to use me. and like make fun of me and stuff. So I started exercising for that reason. But I gave up because I was spotted and being teased even more severely.
Mm.
So after that, the teasing went on for about 1 or 2 months again, and it just started to go rough, and I went into a much darker place. But again, after 2 months, like it was always about the self-talk, because I didn't have any friends. Nobody was talking to me in the hostel. If I tried to
Mm.
talk to someone, they would instead try to threaten me, like, why are you saying this or something like that. So I wasn't comfortable in that environment. And in all that situations, all I could do was self-talk, like talk to myself. And that used to go bad, of course. Like I used to ask my questions such as, like, what's your purpose of living if you're not good for education, if you're not good at anything?
Mm.
So it was going into a very bad place. And but eventually, like, self-realization does give you certain good things as well, so you're supposed to cling on to them. So the good thing which I had in mind was this time, it was that, if everybody is already teasing me, so why should I stop exercising? Maybe I can exercise and then be teased, so at least that's going to make sense. So for that reason, I started exercising once again. And but this time it was going to be like for releasing anger, like it was all about frustration. I had a bad attitude towards exercising at that time.
Did you have
But
this revenge factor inside of you at that point?
exactly. I had the revenge factor. I was like, this time I'm going to work out. Let them spot me. Like if they'll say something much, I'll exercise more or something, because I was insecure. I was really insecure. I knew that I was in their yard. It was like it was their place. I was new. So if at
Mm.
all I messed with one person, like 5 or 6, they were going to, because on the 6th day itself, when I had got beat up, it was a group, and I was being beat up by one person, and none of them did anything. So I knew that it was all this group, uh, gangs and all these stuffs there, like not gangs but groups.
Yeah, so
So
let me ask you, where was your family in all this when you're going through this phase of bullying? Was it anyone you can talk to, or is it was just basically you against the world?
I was here in Fujairah in United Arab Emirates until ninth standard, and this is where my parents had also stayed. So my parents decided to send me to a boarding school in India to be independent. So none of them were in India. Like my parents stayed here, and my sister was in another hostel, and I never felt like bothering her. She went into hostel in 11th standard. She went before me, but I never contacted her, like, because I didn't feel like that. And
Mm.
so I was alone. I had nobody to talk to. I had nobody to consult or ask advice. And I already told you that by
Not
the
even the
time I reached,
teachers. No one in there. No teachers or nothing
there
like.
were teachers in the hostel. There were wardens. Like there were 6 or 7 teachers in the hostel,
Okay.
and two of them were sports. Three of them were sports faculties, and the others were like chemistry, maths, and stuff. But I never felt like going to them and telling them, because in my mind I also had this fear that, if I'll go and complain to them, it's going to come back at me. Like when the students will get to know about this, I'm going to be screwed.
Right,
And they'll make sure that the next time they'll tease me or do something, I'll not be in a situation to complain once again.
right.
So I didn't want to go into that worst stage. And so this time I was telling you that it was all about the revenge. Like it was all about that harsh approach towards exercising. That's what I was doing. I did it for a few weeks. I did it for like maybe for 3 or 4 weeks, and after that, like that's when my life really changed. Like just when the things in my life were going worse, worse, and worse, there were times where I really questioned my existence. And on this stage, like when I said I completed 3 or 4 weeks of regular working out in that bad attitude, good things started to happen in my life. So I was there in the library one day, and I went to the other shelves of like the books, and I was just going through the books. Usually I used to just take sketching books because I had this habit of doodling, because
Mhm.
in the classrooms my mind was lost, in the hostel my mind was lost because of all these stress and problems. All I used to do was like scribble on the table or something. So whenever we had the library period in school, I used to check out the art books and stuff. But that particular day, I went to the other shelves, like where the other books were. I didn't like novels or anything, so it was a challenge for me to go and try to search for some other books because I was bored. So I did, and I got my hands on a book which was basically stacked like the books were stacked vertically, but that book was hidden behind, so nobody could reach to that. But my hand was inside, like trying to check one by one all the books. So I got my hands on that and I took it out and I read like, okay, now get this fact. I was just 15 years old. The book was
Mm.
behind all the other books. The book is called The Secret. Okay. So 15 years old, that just started to like wire everything inside my brain, like, okay, hidden secret and stuff. And so I took it out. That caught my interest. I read the backside of the book, and that caught my interest even more because it was telling that you can achieve anything in your life, you can attract the good stuff and everything. I opened up the content page just to be sure it's not a novel, and I was sure about it then. I issued the book and I started to read the book whenever I was alone. I didn't want to read the book whenever somebody was watching me because I wanted to keep it their secret.
Okay, so
So,
tell me again the title of this book again. What's the name of this book
The
again?
Secret,
The
The
Secret.
Secret.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. So did you read it, then hide it again, and once you
Yes,
stop reading? Oh, okay,
definitely.
gotcha.
When I issued the book from the library, I took it back to my room and I hid it under my like under my inside my cupboard under my clothes so that
Okay.
nobody can ever spot it. And I
Wow.
used to read it only when I was alone. Like I knew it was the secret and it was for me. I got my hands on it.
Yeah.
So at that particular time, I really needed that desperate change in my life. And so reading the titles of the book and the message which the book was giving, I was really interested in trying to change my life. So I started practicing, like gradually, I started reading the book page by page, and that started to explain many things in my life. Like, although I started practicing the secret in a little strange ways, I tried to close the door without getting up. I tried to make it rain someday and stuff. Like, I practiced all these things. And whenever it did work, it used to feel like magic. It used to feel like I'm a superhuman. I'm going to fix my life now.
Yeah.
So it used to
Yeah.
really get my interest. I was always interested in magic, and this was at a whole another level.
Wow.
So I started practicing the secret. I understood that where I was wrong, why I wasn't making friends in the hostel was because I was focusing how different they were. The way I was approaching exercise was also wrong, and so I started exercising for myself rather than trying to take revenge or trying to get my frustration out. And I started to smile a little more. I started to laugh a little more just for the sake, to feel happy. That attracted friends in my life. I started to make a friend circle, and my education just skyrocketed because I stopped focusing on my previous bad results in school. So that's how everything started to fix for me. I became the art captain in my school, education improved, friend circle got improved. So it was all good.
Wow. Wow.
And then I went on to a university. I got admission in a university which was for bachelor's in architecture,
Okay.
and architecture because I was interested in computers and I was interested in creativity, like drawing and stuff. So it
Yeah.
was a blend of both nicely together. But of course, my first interest was in fitness because fitness became like a permanent part for me. For 3 years in school life, I was just practicing it and I started to love that sport.
Mm.
So I did ask my parents, like, let me go to the army, navy, or air force. Like that's
Right.
that's my side. And
Right.
my
Right.
mother said, like, no, you're my
Yeah.
only son and stuff. So she got emotional with that.
Okay.
So, bachelor's in architecture was my choice. I went into a university. I started to make good friends. My education was again very good in the school, in the university. My faculties loved me. I got into a relationship with someone, and like life started to really set up so good. I was just appreciating and loving my life to a very like another level. Like I
That's
just
good.
enjoyed
Yeah.
everything.
Awesome.
So it just changed so good, and every day was filled with excitement, like waking up, exercising. Like in university, I got my hands on internet as well. So that's when I started researching about fitness a bit more because passion it was already there. Now it was try to get more knowledge about it.
Right.
So the whole first year of my college, I started to read about everything, and life was all good. When I got into my second year, and it was the third semester basically, I had attended almost like 2 or 3 weeks of the third semester when my sister had got like my sister was going to get engaged. So we had a big celebration in India, and so for that reason, my parents came into India. We had a good celebration, and it was then like probably after a week after it was my last day for my father to stay in India because he was going to come back for his job here. So he called me over for a family dinner at the house. So I left. I was living in the hostel again in university because my parents used to stay here. So I went to the house. I saw a very cool motorcycle standing in front of the house, and I started requesting that, let me try it out. Uh, at that time, like, let me just tell you about the whole environment of that place. We had our house in a very deserted place. It was a newly settling colony. And
Mm.
so very less people were there. It was winter time. It was the month of November in 2014. And so it was deserted. It was quite deserted and it was already dark. It was 7:30 when I reached home, and I started requesting for the motorcycle just to try it out. And after repeatedly asking, somehow I got the permission. I went for a small ride, just 2 or 3 lanes across the house I was, and I parked the bike because I was getting a phone call. When I parked the motorcycle beside the road, that's where I was simultaneously I was hearing a high-speed car sound. So the moment I removed my phone from my pocket and trying to see like who gave me a call, I got a missed call. So at that same moment, I could hear the sound increasing. So I turned back just to see. And when I turned back, I saw this big white color SUV chasing right towards me. Like it was coming right towards me, high speeding.
Oh God.
And I was beside the road. I was not even on the road. So, but I didn't have a chance to react to that. I didn't have the chance to move out of the way or anything.
No, no.
And like, bam, the accident happened. The car hit the bike on which I was sitting. The bike went meters away on the road, and I basically went from the left side of the road to the center of the road, like 2 lanes across. I was found in
Oh,
the center of the road.
oh my God.
The guy who hit me never stopped. Like he just hit me and went. And the place
What?
was deserted, so I had little hopes to be saved.
Ah.
And on the perpendicular side of that incident, there was a guard. Like we had a guard of our area who used to take night rounds on his cycle just to ensure safety and security. He
Hold
saw
on,
that incident.
Michelle. Hold on a second. You just got me. Everything was everything was rosy and great and cloud. You know, the clouds were lifted off your life, and you just hit me with like some drama that I was not expecting. Wait a minute here. So how fast did you have any time to react to that car? Or were you unconscious? What happened there?
As soon as the car hit, the last thing which I remember until today is only the white color SUV. That's all I
Wow.
remember. After
Wow.
that, I didn't know where I like. After that, the next time when I woke up was in the hospital, which was
Wow.
probably after 2 months. So I didn't know what happened for 2 months.
Wow.
So whatever happened is because thankfully that guard was there who saw the incident happening, and he
Okay.
rushed to save me.
Wow.
So all the experiences of people who were there with me after that, this is the stitched experience which I'm telling you what actually happened.
So how many
So
like how many broken bones were you in a coma? What
I
had to
was
be
completely
fixed?
unconscious. I was
Wow.
completely unconscious. And since I told you, from the left side of the road to the center of the road, and
Yeah.
we had one strip of like bushes in the middle of the road, and it was having this cement pillars on the edges as well. So
Ah,
I was found laying on one of the cement pillars, which was broken into 3 pieces.
oh my
And
gosh.
like the doctors found out that there were no scratches on my body. Only my face was completely unrecognizable. My face was not recognizable. It was
Wow.
completely covered in blood.
Oh my
So
gosh.
that says it all. It was a face first impact. And the pillar was broken into three. I have 14 fractures in my face.
Wow.
So because of that, yeah. So that's how the accident happened. That's the damage which happened. And face first. So even today, my face is not symmetrical, and there are many medical issues which I'm going through even today. But that's a different thing. How I'm dealing with them today.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So
Is
that's basically what happened in the accident.
is there still pain today that you suffer from?
No,
No. Okay. Well, that's good.
no
That's
pain.
good. That's good.
But there's no pain. But I'm at this point, like the doctors have told me, because when the surgery was going on, the surgery went for 7 days when I was finally taken to the correct hospital. First, I was taken to another hospital, but they started performing surgery. But as soon as they performed the first cut right here, they saw the skull completely broken. They just said that they couldn't do it. They stopped
Wow.
right there.
Wow.
And that's the moment where we had to decide what had to be done. So my parents and like my father's friend, somebody had suggested that that's a better hospital. Let's take him there.
Okay.
I was taken there. The surgery was performed for 7 days, and we had a choice that they could either put steel plates in my face or they could put titanium plates. Now the condition was that steel plates would be a bit more affordable, but we'll
Right.
have to perform another surgery to take it out after it recovers. For titanium plates, it can stay in my head. So that's what my parents chose ultimately, because they didn't want another surgery on my face.
Yeah.
For 7 days, the doctor just kept telling that, he's not going to be safe. We are just trying. So that's how the 7 days went for my parents. It was really hard. After 7 days, the doctor came out to finally say that he's safe. He's not conscious, but he's safe and he will be alive. The damages we do not know. That we'll get to know
Mm.
after he becomes conscious. So when I became conscious, I was there in the ICU for I was there in the ICU for a total of 4 months in the hospital.
Oh.
And after the first 1 or 2 months, I opened up my eyes and I could see my parents in front of me, like of course
What
crying.
was, yeah, what was that like? Were you like stunned that you were in this hospital for 2 months? What was
That's
that
a good
feeling like?
question. That's a good question. Now, I'm trying to go very fast on my story so that I can cover all of
Yeah,
it.
take your
I
time. You're
did tell you
fine.
that I was trying to cover. I did tell you that in 10th standard I found positivity, so that became a permanent part of my life.
Wow.
What also became a permanent part was my character. My
Okay.
character was always to smile, laugh, and chill out with everybody. But also I had developed this character along with positivity that I never liked seeing people crying or stressed or upset or anything of that sort. Even if it's a stranger, I would try to go and talk and make him laugh or something.
Yeah.
So the moment when I opened my eyes, I was there in the hospital. Now that's a good question, because as soon as I opened my eyes, I knew I was in a hospital. I very well knew I was in a hospital. I
Yeah.
was completely, like, properly conscious and I could understand everything. I understood that there was something around half of my face because I
Mm.
couldn't see with one of my eyes, and I also understood that my jaw was locked because I tried opening my mouth but it wasn't opening. It was strange at
Mm.
first,
Yeah.
but I understood. Okay, fine, no problem. Cannot speak. Got it. And both of my hands were tied to the stretcher, and so I understood that I was in the hospital. But
Yeah.
the moment I woke up, it just took me 5 or 6 seconds to think about all these things. Only that much. After that, I
Mm.
saw my parents crying, and I was like, okay, I need to stop them. I need to make them smile. So that's
Yeah.
where I started trying to wave with my the hand which was tied. I tried to smile and everything, but they just weren't stopping. They just kept
Yeah.
crying more and more.
Yeah.
So they were happy, of course. It was all tears of happiness that I woke up finally after 2 months of sleep. And so I completely remembered everything. I knew everything because after 2 days, my parents, like my mother, was standing in front of my face, trying to ask me, "Who am I? Who am I?" My jaw
Right.
was locked, but I tried to say "mummy" somehow, and
Right.
so she started crying and stuff. So the recovery went on, and everybody from my college, everybody from my university had come to meet me while I was there in the ICU. My
Wow.
juniors, my seniors, my faculty. So I was overwhelmed with that. Um,
You were overwhelmed because you didn't
Also,
have that in your earlier life. Like,
exactly,
where's all this love and
exactly.
compassion coming from? Yeah, got it. Yeah.
You got that perfectly right. So basically, what used to happen was from one school to another. When I went from this school, which is here, to a school in India, the boarding school, none of the
Wow.
friends had texted me. Like they didn't even ask me where have you gone, like
Wow.
for years. So I
Wow.
felt neglected. I felt like friendship's not real. And
Wow.
from boarding school, when I went to university, I was again the same thing happened. Like none of them messaged me. My best friends to anybody, none of them.
Wow.
So while I was experiencing this, this was a lesson which I learned in my life that people do care about you and they'll show up when they can. Maybe they
Yeah.
cannot text you or something, but they do care. So I was overwhelmed, and after 4 months in the ICU, my mother requested to ask the doctors to allow me to have bed rest at house. She wanted to take care of me with her own hands. So while I was there in the ICU, the doctors also explained that I had lost blood from my brain. So it should be 12 grams of blood in the brain, but it was gone down to 7 grams because of the bleeding.
Mm.
So in 4 months in the ICU, it had gone up to like around 9 grams. And for 1 week, my mother took care of me, only my mother in the house, all by herself. And then we had to go after 1 week to have my checkup and everything again. So the results came out and my blood count had gone from 9 grams to directly 11 grams. So like the doctors were shocked. My mother was shocked also, but that taught me a lesson that, your mother knows best for you.
Yeah.
So anyways, after that, sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, like over the months, over the weeks, over the months, I also got to know about the medical conditions that I was going through. Slowly and gradually, I got to know. Just one day when I was listening to music, trying to listen to music for the first time after the accident. So I was listening to music, but the music wasn't right. So while I was trying to just remove the earplugs and check, so this is how I removed. Like I removed it from one ear, and from the other ear, I was removing with the same hand. That's
Wow.
when I noticed that this ear wasn't hearing the music. That's why it was weird.
Wow.
So like there were incidents like these how I was getting to know what were the damages because of the accident. I got to know that I couldn't hear from the left ear. One day when I was trying to smell one of the best dish which my mother had cooked, I couldn't smell it, and that's when I got to know that I couldn't smell. One day my mother noticed that when I was looking at her, like I don't know if you can see this in the camera, I don't know if that happened actually in this live, but whenever I used to look forward or up or somewhere like that at particular angles, one of my eyes used to just elevate somewhere else out of control. So my
Ah,
mother noticed that and she was asking me why I'm doing that, but I didn't know that was happening. So
okay.
that basically happened because my eye had shifted backwards. My right eye had shifted backwards. Um, because of that, I had double vision. So we had
Ah,
surgeries for that. Then I got these prism specs, which basically now help me get that double vision somewhat together. I cannot see properly, completely 100%, but I can manage everything properly. So
wow.
I had double vision. The another medical condition which my doctor, neurosurgeon doctor who performed the surgery, told me was that since the brain had lost lots of blood, it had also swollen up, and the swelling was such that like when I was admitted in the hospital for the first time, my face was double the size of a human face, like shattered and double the size. So that
Wow.
was the severity of the accident. And the doctors explained that because of this swelling, there's going to be a medical condition for my whole life, that I'm never going to be allowed to have any serious emotions. Like they were basically trying to tell me never to be angry, upset, stressed, have like overly joyed or happy. They just wanted me to be neutral, because they said that if any of these emotions I would go through, it would bring a swelling in my brain back again, and I would have
Wow.
to change my medications, probably get admitted in the hospital.
And
They
that's
said
no
it
way.
was going to be a permanent.
And that's no way to
They said it.
live. Yeah. Yeah.
That's exactly what I felt like. I felt like they were trying to ask me to become a robot.
Right.
So that's how I put it.
Right.
And because obviously if you have feelings, you're going to go through these emotions and you cannot stop. Like you cannot have just no feelings.
Right.
um
What about
so
relationships? You said you had a relationship, was that before the accident, or
before the accident, yes, I was in a relationship.
how did that play out? 'Cause that's just in my head. I'm so sorry, but that is in my head, and I didn't want to talk about it, but I was like, let me just
It's
ask
fine.
him about the relationship, because
Right.
2 months of being in the bed, you feel like,
Right.
you
um
feel the worst, right? So,
it's been years since someone had asked me that question. I'm glad you asked me. It's fine, I can answer that. So basically, uh, it's ironical that just before the accident, there was like probably two weeks or something, and we were having a very big argument, and we had
uh,
basically stopped talking to each
okay,
other.
okay,
So when the
okay.
accident happened and she got to know about it, she became very emotional and she started writing diaries because she couldn't meet me or talk to me while I was asleep. So
Okay.
she started writing those diaries for me that, get well soon and I miss you and stuff,
Oh,
all of the
wow.
things. So when I
Okay.
recovered, the things were improved.
Awesome.
But I'll not say that like that was in the last stage. Like obviously,
Yeah.
when I recovered, we were in a relationship for a few months, but then it ended because of other reasons.
Right,
There
right.
was lack of understanding and stuff, so it ended.
Yeah.
After that, I got into another relationship with the crush which I had in my boarding school, and
Ah,
that
okay.
went on for a year, and that also went bad afterwards. Like uh, I wouldn't say dished, because that's a bad word. I don't want to say it, but the
Yeah.
relationship wasn't good.
Okay.
So yeah, that ended. But after that, I got into a relationship just because of positivity. Like I started imagining the kind of partner I want. I've
Right.
been there with her for almost 4 years, and we are about to be engaged. So all is good
Wow.
now.
Well, congrats. Congrats. Yes.
Yeah,
Awesome.
thank you.
Okay. Okay. So
So
go ahead. Go ahead.
I was telling you about the medical conditions. So about the brain, that was the last and final thing which I got to know about myself. And uh, I was not a person who wanted to give up. Like that's completely true about me. That's not made up or anything. Because I told you, my childhood was really bad. I was not good at education, not good at anything.
Mm,
And when I did find positivity and my grades went high, after that it was just me trying to chase everything in my life. Like I just wanted to be unstoppable. I wanted everything.
yeah.
And when I had the accident, yes, there was a pause because one day I was standing in front of the mirror as well, and I noticed myself that I've lost all the gains. I
Yeah.
Before the accident, I was having a decent body, and
Yeah.
after the accident that day, I was standing in front of the mirror, not in my complete good state. I had that nasal pipe in my nose because my
Yeah.
jaw was locked. But I
Yeah.
wanted to see myself. When I saw, I was
Exactly.
shocked. I was
Yeah.
completely shocked.
That was my
I
next
saw rib
question.
cage.
Yeah. That was my
I
next
saw my
question
rib
about your
cage.
physical. Yeah. Yeah. Go
I saw
ahead.
my rib cage. I saw the bones like in my arms, like no muscle, zero muscle. Seriously,
Wow.
I just didn't know who I was while
Yeah.
seeing that. And but immediately I snapped back out of it because uh, for about a minute or so, I did feel bad that 4 years of hard work all gone. But immediately I just snapped back that instead of just crying, maybe I can start working.
So you
Believe me, I
hit
was
you
at
hit rock bottom. I want everybody
yeah.
to understand that you're at rock bottom because all those gains, all that progress was done and taken from you in an instant. And how you got out of that? Well, tell us how you got out of that. That's just how to get over that mentally. Is just
How did I
amazing.
get out of that? So basically, I was telling you that when I was looking at myself in the mirror at that day, I was supposed to have bed rest. I basically just took support of the wall just to get to that room to see myself because
Hmm.
I couldn't even stand. I felt dizzy as soon as I stood up that time, like for the first time. Um, Immediately, like I told you, after having all that upset and feeling bad that I lost it, immediately I just had this thing in mind that rather than crying, because I really hated what I was seeing in the mirror, I hated it. So
Mm.
I just wanted to change that so desperately, and I was all focused. Like I knew that instead of crying, moaning, complaining about what happened, I wanted to just get over it and start the progress from today. So I was
Yeah.
supposed to have bed rest, but from the cupboard, I took out my resistant band and I put it under my legs and I started curling. I started looking in the like in the mirror, like bones, just trying to work out for myself. But yeah, that's how I was completely determined. My mother came inside that room to scold me after that. She was like, "What the hell are you doing? You're supposed to have bed rest. You stupid kid," and stuff. Like I was having nasal pipe and band-aids, so like she was completely frightened seeing that, like as if I was sleepwalking.
So you were just going back
Um,
to your original routine of this is
yeah,
just me. This is solo me that I've learned, and it's just
not
being
just for
consistent.
fitness,
Yeah.
not just for fitness. While I was there at the bed rest on the fifth month of my rest period, I realized that I was also in a university. Like that suddenly clicked in my head. Like, what about my studies, dude? And I was about to miss my third semester, and I couldn't let that happen.
Okay.
So immediately I talked to my friends. They told me that exam was just 1 week ahead, and I didn't even attend the semester, so I knew nothing. But I was stubborn. I told my parents that I'm going to give the exams. Like if I need to be written as failed, fine, but not absent. Like I'm not going to be marked absent.
Wow.
So I started being stubborn and stuff. That thankfully, first my parents to talk to my sister, my sister talked to my university. They arranged a special question paper for me, just MCQ questions, which I just had to tick, and I was supposed to attempt that. I was standing in front of the college, my sister on my left, my mother on my right, just helping me to walk because I couldn't.
Mm.
They walked me until the college, and inside, my sister walked me to the room where I was supposed to give the exam. I gave the exam all by myself. Like, even I don't know how I passed it. I have no
Wow.
clue, but I passed it. Okay.
Wow.
My friends were giving me offers that, okay, so if he has any doubt, like they were telling my sister that just message us, we'll give you the answers from outside and stuff.
Mm.
Faculties were there to help me. Like they were saying that, we'll give you the answers, just ask us. We know what you have been through.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like I just had that I can do it by myself, and I did it, got cleared in those exams, got into the next semester without any delay in my education as well. So I was basically in high throttle just to get everything back in my life. And I never felt like I was a strong believer of this, that you don't have to stop because of certain conditions. And how I put it together is I had this motto in my mind that never give up, regardless of the condition you're in. Everybody says never give up, but how I say it, regardless of the condition, because you might be in the baddest place in your life, but it doesn't mean that you have to stop. It just means that you have to progress. So that's what I was doing. I was progressing, not trying to jump directly to the end.
Right.
So also, when I was able to stand and my doctors gave me permission to do some physical workouts and stuff, I started off just by walking, because one day when I suddenly started jogging, tried to jog, my face started to feel, as if like my whole bones were bouncing and stuff in my face. I
Right.
didn't want to do that. I slowly
Oh,
started walking,
yeah.
started brisk walking, and then started jogging, then started sprinting, then started doing body weight workout, then started doing gym. And basically, I was determined that the 4 year gains which I had lost, I would bring back in months. And I had a target in my mind that like 4 months to 5 months, that's it, just give me that time. And
Right.
when I got allowed to work out, within 3 months, I got the exact body which I had before the accident, within 3 months.
Wow. Okay. So I want to fast forward here because I know we're going to be up against it here, but let me just fast forward a little bit and maybe we can continue on with the story. Do you think you would be where you are today without these adversities in your life?
Definitely not, because I do feel that where I am today, it's a learning from all the experiences which I've had in my life.
Okay.
And it's not just the fact that those experiences were mine. Like I wouldn't say that I was lucky because I had these experiences. I would
All right.
properly say that I was positive, and I knew what to take out from those experiences and what not.
All
So I
right.
have those medical conditions even today. I still
Yeah.
have double vision. I still cannot hear. Still cannot smell. I still have that brain condition, but I fixed it for myself. Like, I told myself that if happiness or joy is coming, I'll let it out, because, it's a positive feeling. Whereas for the negative things, like don't become angry, stressed, or anything, I just changed my character a little bit. I like
Wow.
to make people laugh and stuff, but someone used to make me angry, I used to, immediately get back at it, like fire back.
Right.
But after the accident, I developed a character that, if someone is trying to make me angry or someone is trying to give me tension, I'm just going to let them speak. I'm going to just crack a joke after that. I'm going to
Right.
laugh with them. They're going to laugh with me, and we're going to be chill.
You
Life is
kind of
going to be
have
good.
you kind of have
Yeah.
to. Yeah.
So
That's wild. That's wild. The fact that you can't smell. Tell how does that work in your life when it's something that you don't normally think about really about the sense of smell. But how does that affect in your life on a daily basis that you can't smell the things that you used to smell before? And you probably used to take advantage of that possibly. Am I right?
definitely. So I did tell you that positivity was a part of my life, right? So
Yeah.
these medical conditions which I had, these four conditions, I knew that instead of trying to complain for anything which I was going through, like my parents literally took me to almost 20 to 30 hospitals. Like I'm telling you, that might be less than the actual number. They took me to many hospitals just trying to get me the best cure for something, like trying to fix my ear, nose, eyes, something, but
Right.
nothing fixed. But inside my head, I had positivity. So how I dealt with the smelling, you know, you try to think of it like it's all about the mindset. It's a very good question because it's all about the mindset. If you try to focus on a problem in the bad way, you're going to cry about it, you're going to complain about it, feel tensed about it.
Mhm.
I had that positive attitude. And how I took my smelling, yes, initially when I was trying to smell the food, or someday when I was at the petrol pump trying to fill petrol in the car, I love the petrol smell. So
Mm.
since I couldn't smell all that, since I couldn't smell all that, it did feel bad like one or two times. But immediately what I felt was that, let's try to focus on the other side. So I felt like it's actually an advantage that I cannot smell. And I seriously, even today, I feel happy because these problems just keep coming. Because like just a few days back, I was there in the office and the secretary was complaining so much that, there's a very bad smell in the office and I just
Right.
cannot bear it. Like everybody was complaining and I was like, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
And whenever I'm in the gym, like I don't have to complain to the guy, like, the gym is thinking, please fix something or something like that. I'm just doing my workout, doing my thing.
Right.
And
Right.
for my ear, like it feels like, how did I deal with the ear? But that's also an advantage. Like I feel all the medical conditions are actually a blessing for me just to do better in my work.
Right.
Because in my college life and even in my office, what I do is like if I feel there is too much noise surrounding me and I'm not able to focus on my work, I just have to sit with one of my ears blocked like this, and with the other hand, I'm still working on the computer on my mobile. So I feel like I'm unstoppable. So
Wow.
I
Wow.
just made such good reasons to be happy about all of them. And even the brain condition was sorted out. So like I was at the best place. I do feel that the brain condition which the neurosurgeon doctor told me, it sounded impossible in the beginning, but that really is one of the best parts in my life, like even today. That's the reason why I am who I am today. Like, stress free most of the time, at least. Like, even if the stress is coming, I know how to deal it properly. I can deal it with a smile. If someone is trying to, argue or someone is trying to fight about something, I know how to smile. I know how to fix that situation. So
Awesome.
I learned
Yeah.
it the hard way, but that's something which I'm also trying to teach other people.
Right.
Um, should I tell you what I'm,
Yeah.
should I
So
tell you
let's
what
yeah
I'm
so, yeah let's go into like because obviously we want to dive into the health and wealth and health, the health and mental um being mentally health. What am I trying to say? Mentally fit,
right?
healthy, right? So I want to sort of dive into your routine because you make you have remarkable gains that you have through your experience. Tell us first of all about eating habits, eating healthy, and uh, where that what am I trying to say? How that works
The
for you?
importance of that.
How importance? There you go. Importance of that and what you do in your routine for that.
Right. So, uh, while I was there in the university, like I'll just tell you a little background, not too much. When I was there in the university, that's where I got my hands on the internet and mobile. Like I could keep everything in that hostel. So I started searching, and like the first thing which made me feel sad is that, I'm a vegetarian. I'm a pure vegetarian. So gaining muscle was going to be very hard for me. That's what the internet said. Like animal protein is your way to gaining muscle, and I
Yeah.
couldn't do that. So I was really
Right.
stressed out with that. But I found my own ways because I literally have tried so many workout routines from YouTube. Yeah, like, going through bodybuilding.com, going through YouTube, checking what other people are doing. I have tried almost everything in that particular time, but I didn't get results. And so the way how I found for myself is that I started eating the way how I felt. Like I read the science behind the nutrition and everything, and I made my own diet. I started eating the way how I knew that okay, this might make me gain. I started
Yeah.
experimenting with so many foods, like vegetarian foods. I started experimenting with the way I exercise, trying to make a combination and everything. And when it did work out, I was amazed because the results came. And also, after the accident, I did gain my body back. I also wanted to become more huge in size. Like I wanted to gain more muscle. I didn't want to stop. So I was there on bulking. When I bulked up, I wanted to shred the fat because I was there, which was there after the bulking. So I started making, fat loss program after that for myself. And so I started just experimenting with the food and exercises and, learning so much in the whole process that people started to come to me and ask, like, give us some tips, give it some tips for exercise, give us some tips
Yeah.
for nutrition. And I really had such a good database of everything that I could tell them so many things. I could just keep talking about whatever they're asking.
Do you have any
So
basic tips right now you can give us for just like what not to eat or what to eat, or is it a process depending on who you are? What kind of body
okay.
you have?
So
Just the
if
basics.
I okay. I'll tell you the like most important things like which I try to say on general basis. Like if someone tries to ask me what's healthy, what's not. Okay,
Yeah.
so here it goes. Um, Considering nutrition, try to keep your diet on whole food. Okay, if
Mm.
you try to eat all food rather than processed food from the market, it's really going to work so good for your body because your body is made to eat the natural food. I was reading this article long back, before years back. It said that, our body is not yet made to digest sugar. Like we are eating
Mm.
something which probably will be able to digest maybe after, let's say, 80 years after from today, 2020. So we would be able to digest sugar at that particular time, but still we are trying to consume sugar today.
Wow.
So things like these are not good for our body, and that's the first step. Try to have whole food. I wouldn't ask someone to try to go from non-vegetarian to vegetarian, from vegetarian to vegetarian, because that's completely personal preference. But according to your body goals, it very much matters what you're eating has to link with how you're training. If you're training to
Mm.
bulk, your food
Yeah.
needs to say that. If your food is not saying that, you're not going to see results. Like I was reading a complaint on Facebook on some public page today that a lady is complaining for 6 months. She tried to exercise, strength training, and everything. She fixed her diet a little bit, but she couldn't see results in the mirror for 6 months. And I was like, you wasted your 6 months because you didn't eat properly.
Right.
That's how simple it is. Nutrition matters a lot. Another advice, like to make it simple for everybody, if it's fat loss or if it's muscle gain, it's all about calories. It's all about calorie deficits. It's all about calorie surplus. The simpler you try to understand nutrition, that's going to be your starting point, and the basics are really so strong, you'll get results immediately. It's all about that. Once you have got those results, if you want more, then you'll have to get into the depths. So for someone who is starting, calories is something which they can start counting. And the another tip which I can give in nutrition is there is always a better replacement. There is always
Mm.
a better replacement. It might not taste good, it might not seem good, uh, but if it's better, it's better, and you cannot deny that, but you can replace. So
I
if,
agree.
like, for example, I was talking about sugar. I don't know how crazy this might sound, but I really liked coffee, and I used to have it with sugar when I didn't know about it. So
Yeah.
when I knew about it, now it was time to, I need to replace it because I cannot have that dark coffee. I didn't like it. So for a replacement, I just kept thinking about it and I found honey. So nobody does, I don't know if somebody tries to put honey in coffee, but in my mind,
Mm.
all I was thinking was that I just needed some sweetness. And when I put it in coffee, like it tasted as if it had sugar. Really, like it
Huh.
tasted as if it had sugar for me.
Okay.
So I continued with it.
Okay.
It might sound like a bad replacement, but I was replacing it with something healthy and it always turned out good.
Hey, as long as it
So,
works. As long as it
huh?
works. So as long as it works.
As long it works,
Yeah.
exactly. And especially like there are so many recipes on the internet that tell you that basically tempt you. Um, there are so many ways you can try to replace that as well. Like, this sounds crazy as well. Like, there is a dish called falafel. So falafel and hummus, it's an Arabian dish, but it's very tasty, but it has lots of oil and everything. So the
Mm.
way how I found a way out of it was that for the falafel, which is basically deep fried, I started, like, I got an air fryer. So I used to make it in that. So it was all the contents of that. Like air fryer is such a good thing today. And for the hummus, which basically has lots of oils and everything in that. So the way how I found a solution for that was like I just used to take yogurt and just put the right amount of, like, how I'll tell this tip in short is go to the kitchen and try to cook for yourself. You'll
Okay.
find the all the replacements you need, because
Yeah.
when I wanted hummus, I just started thinking that okay, it's a paste and it has this kind of a taste, and you can
Right.
make that taste just with any spice you have. Like, so I took yogurt and I just started adding salt and pepper and whatever I needed. I also added a little turmeric just to make it a little yellow, and some coriander powder just to make it a little bit green as well. And it looked
Mm.
just like hummus and it tasted just like that, but it was made out of yogurt. So,
Right.
like, you can work your way out with such good replacements as well.
Right. So
You know your
let's
taste buds, you know
yeah.
your taste buds, and you know what's healthy, so you can make it.
So let's go
So that's
into the
going to be my
scenario.
tip.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate it. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but let's get into it. We've got about 10 minutes left here. Real quick, tell us about what you use, what you do for the person who says they don't have any time to work out. There's no time. I'm busy. I go to work. I got to take care of my kids. After all that, I'm tired. I just know there's no time to work out.
I love that. I love hearing that. Seriously, if there's someone who loves saying these kind of things, I love it. Please come to me because that's exactly whom I'm looking for. Basically, I've gone through bachelor's in architecture. It's like one of the most hectic, one of the most toughest course, and like life in college was all hectic. Even when I joined the office, I used to work in the office from morning 7 to evening 9,
Wow.
and that continuous shift with a like 2 hours or 3 hours break in the middle for lunch.
Yeah.
So I basically had no time for fitness. And initially, when I joined the gym, initially when I joined the office just after my graduation, I didn't have time for fitness for about like 5 or 6 months, where I basically started to feel all this, sluggish and fat and, not
Mm,
comfortable in myself.
yeah.
And then I started to realize that, okay, this office life is really getting on me.
Yeah.
And so I started to feel that, this is a problem not just for me, it's a problem for so many people. But of course, I needed the solution for myself first rather than going someone else and telling the solution. So I started to identify how I can make my lifestyle healthy rather than try to fit a workout in between. So I started doing so many things during the office hours, after the office hours, which do not need special time, which do not need special like dress or something.
Yeah.
You can just do it anywhere, anytime, and it's going to work on you. So that's how I started. And I also managed to squeeze in a time for my gym routine. I also learned how to manage my sleep. And in this whole process, I basically sorted it out for myself. Now it was time for me to target the other people. So I took one employee from my own office. I took another guy who was my friend who was having a really busy life in the office. And I started to target these people. And I always heard these complaints. Like even when I was training them for the initial first week, I always heard this complaint that, we are so busy and stuff.
All right.
But I love hearing that fact because I've made it, I've sorted this out for them.
Hold on one second. Hold on one second. Somebody's calling me. I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
It's okay.
Go
So,
ahead.
um, after that, also, just to be sure that I am able to do this, when I started fitness coaching just recently, I also had launched a 7-day challenge, which was basically for transformation. And believe me, um, I think six to seven people were architects who had joined me. One of them was like a commercial guy who had like internships, studies, traveling, and all these issues. So he had lots of complaints, just more than busy life.
Mm,
But those guys joined me every morning for the challenge, and by the end of that 7 days, like they were thanking me so much just for those 7 days because they didn't know that it was going to be so much fun. They didn't know that the exercises can be so much enjoyable, and
yeah.
they didn't know that they can improve their lifestyle even while being busy. So if someone is busy and someone is trying to complain that how is it even possible, I have the solution. Like I don't think someone might be busy more than working from 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Like that was my routine.
Yeah.
And if someone is even more busy than that, like you're most welcome. I'm ready to face challenges. Like I know I can sort it out.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's
Yeah.
we got about 6 minutes left. Now ask this question. I got a final question for you here. Ask this question about everybody here, and I think you might have already really touched on it already, but if someone wants to get into the field of obviously fitness coach, being the fitness coach like you are, and getting into that field, they want to be an authority like you obviously are right now. You have the experience, you have proof of concept already with people who are already having fun doing what you've taught. How
Right.
can they get into this field um, and be successful at it, like you obviously are doing right now, in helping
So
professionals in this area?
like if someone is trying to become a fitness coach or
Yeah,
something like that,
right.
so my advice would be something from my own experience. I would say that first of all, gain a lot of experience because today if you try to read from the internet, it just has loads of information. Probably if you're going to try to read something, you're going to land on something wrong. So
Mm,
just in order to be sure that it's right, you just have to keep learning, like keep reading, keep exploring, and like just don't be bored about it. Because if it's something which you like, before teaching someone else, learn it properly. So what I had done was I just kept exploring. Like one day I'm reading something, the other day I'm reading completely different from that topic.
right.
Like I'm like, okay, that's something new. And like just keep on reading and you'll explore what's right. And also that's just the first step, that's just the first advice. Secondly, before trying to teach someone else, your own body is like the best canvas on which you can practice that first. I have basically gone from skinny to bulk so many times. Like from skinny to bulk, I've gone twice. One was initially when I started, and second was when I had the accident. The rest of it was me switching between fat, bulk, shredded, and all of these things. I have experimented on myself so many times, just trying to see which program works best. Like there was one time when I was taking up this challenge, how quickly can I lose fat? So I basically became fat when I was in 2017, like because of unhealthy eating habits. And on 2017 beginning, I decided that okay, I'll lose this fat immediately, like as soon as possible. And when I got onto it, when I started working onto it, I made my own nutrition plan and everything, and I started working on it. Within 11 days, I lost 14 kilos, which sounds completely unreal. For some, it
Mm,
sounds completely unhealthy, but I was in the best shape, feeling most energetic, and there were no complaints in my medical health. So, an advice for someone who's trying to become a fitness coach first is going to be explore as much as possible, keep reading, keep enhancing your knowledge. Second is going to be practice, make things practical, not just theoretical. Don't just keep reading stuff to tell somebody else. Practice it on yourself or practice it on your friends if it's safe, of course. And thirdly is going to be thirdly, the advice is going to be most important. Like, be gradual. Don't try to expect that you can become a fitness coach because you learned so much, you practice so many, you make your own programs and stuff. You're going to become a great fitness coach. That's not true. It's all going to
mm,
be gradual. Start
mm,
showing your results to people. Just try to coach two or three people if they're coming to you. Don't be disheartened that you have so less people. It's all going to be a gradual process. So have your patience in check, have your positivity in check, and be determined.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And we're very up against it right now. So just really quick, tell people like where we can find you online to connect with you further.
uh, if someone is trying to connect with me, you can surely find me on Instagram. I go by the IG handle, which is v.s_ironfit. It's there on the screen, I guess. And also you can email me at Vishal Sonift @gmail.com. So that's
Okay.
going to be my email. And that's what I'm doing currently. And like I shouldn't miss saying this out, but all the experiences which I've talked about since my childhood have taught me many lessons, and most of them are about how to be happy in your life. So the way how I try to give fitness coaching is not just by giving you a fitness plan, which is workout and nutrition. I'm going to be there with you in that program. Most probably, I would be doing the transformation with you at that time. And I'm going to be checking your mindset. I'm going to be checking your emotional state. If it's any problem, I'm going to be your friend basically, more than a coach. So you can rely on me in many more ways just than workout or nutrition, other than that as well. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Incredible, dude. Amazing stuff here. It's just incredible. I know we had some time issues. Well, glad you got you
right,
on here to tell your story. It's an
right.
incredible story. Incredible knowledge here on being healthy and mentally fit, and just the perseverance of your story is just amazing. I'm just honored to have you on here.
Thank you.
And if you want more trainings like this, we do weekly trainings like this to help you develop your authority. Like my friend here, Vishal is an incredible authority on not just an experience and just people of doing, getting results from people. We want to help you do that as well. We do weekly trainings here at the Authority Builders Academy. Jump in there; it's free, and free trainings every week. So please join us there as well. And I don't know if we had anything else to add. Do you have anything else to add before we go, Michelle? Are we good to go?
I would just like to thank you for getting me on your show. Thank you for giving me a chance to share it with everybody.
Oh, I'm honored. Thank you so much. And this is a wrap for this episode of The Authority Project.